Since 1973, I have been recording ancient inscriptions and petroglyphs in this area. So when I was brought to this cave in 1978, my attention immediately focused on this petroglyph of the canine figure. And I looked at it and said, this is Egyptian. And everybody with me just laughed and laughed. And later I verified that it was Anubis, the god of darkness and death. Up here it gives instructions that there will be a rite or ceremony at sunset, the rites of Bel, which shall be acted out. And it is amazing to us the first time we saw what did happen right at equinox.
As with most revolutionary discoveries, theories change and strengthen as more is found and understood. After more than a generation of study, the carved icons and their relative placement to each other seem to reveal the Anubis cave as one of the world's foremost surviving examples of Mithras worship. This pre-Christian spirituality, tied to the stars, the planets, the moon, and the sun, was popularly practiced among Roman soldiers and the far-flung Celtic culture. By learning the celestial rhythms and advancing through the ranks, Mithraists hoped to cleanse their souls while on earth.
The cube is an interesting feature on this panel. We know from Plato and his Timaeus that the cube represents the earth because it's very stable. You notice that it's a three-dimensional square braced on many corners. There were other features that are triangles, and they represent the less stable things of the earth, such as the air, the water, and fire. The final step up the ladder is the seventh and top step, and that is for the sun god Mithras. The human form of the leader was known as Pater, and which means father. And we have here the testes and the erect phallus, which represents fatherhood. And we also have the rayed crown that he's wearing, which we're told came from Bahram I of Iran. Mithras is expected to maintain the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun, and all of the planets and constellations in their proper order and functioning.
Here's a Mithraic temple excavated in London. The walls were lined with pillars, and participants sat between them. Up front was an altar. Iconography was on the wall behind the altar, and the niche suggests there may have been a statue there.
This old Mithraic star map from Iran, for example, features, from left to right, the twins, Gemini, the hunter, Orion, and the bull, Taurus.
These also are representing constellations. There's a star map that really is another layer behind this. Mithras is also in the position of Perseus, and the cube is in the position of Auriga. Then we have Taurus over here, Orion is this figure, as well as Cetus over here. And folks who are familiar with constellations know that these are in their correct relative position, or as you would see them in the sky.
Here, at a southeastern Colorado site named the Sun Temple, a signature dawn alignment occurs twice a year at Lunasa and Bealtana. A revealing star map dates one inscription to 1534 years ago.
We have both the constellation Gemini and the three planets, and when we projected them with Evans and Sutherland, they all fit.
These little 1-inch cross marks are the stars. These big 3-inch cross marks are the planets.
Well above the floor of this amphitheater-like location is another key Ogham. It is known as the Tree Ogham, in honor of the rebus or word picture on the right. These marks have been translated from Old Gaelic to read, "The sun ring, along with the shoulder, by means of sun and hill." The trunk was an actual stem line, and the picture honored the inspiration for Ogham, trees.
Here is the Gemini inscription, "The Noble Twins." This spells that out in ancient Gaelic, in Ogham writing. Now, this writing is superimposed on a pattern of plus marks, which we interpret to be the stars of the noble twins in the sky, the constellation Gemini. Now, superimposed on that pattern is also 3 plus marks: Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus. The interesting thing about this constellation is that it matches a pattern that was present in the sky in 471 AD on the cross quarter day in August, the 8th of August. And that day is marked by the circle you see there, you see it over there, and by a shelf on the rock up here, which lines up with the sun at sunrise on the 8th of August. Still does. So we have sunrise, the constellation is above the horizon, the sun is below the horizon, and there are 3 planets to be seen there. Quite a beautiful sight. What we have here is 2 intersecting diagonal lines here. They are straight and they intersect here, and they point 23.5 degrees to the east and 23.5 degrees to the west of due north. This is straight north here, right halfway between them. The only one of these cross lines that actually lies on the plane of the ecliptic, as I described it to you, is this one here going out in a southeasterly direction. It is on the plane of the ecliptic. This one, instead of being on the plane of the ecliptic, is bent down so that this angle is, as accurately as you can measure it here, is exactly the latitude of this site. Now here is another line. This line coming through is deflected a little. It looks like almost a straight line here, but it's not, and it's pointing directly to where the sun sets on the horizon yonder on the first day of summer, on the summer solstice. So the people who put this in here understood a lot more about astronomy than a lot of people in modern day life.
Magnetic declination here is nearly 8 degrees east. A compass resting at the intersection confirms true north bisects the lines 23 to 24 degrees either side of it, matching the tilt of the Earth's axis to the ecliptic. No surprise, this place is nicknamed the Compass Cave.
Well, there's that research that we're hearing today that shows half of all Western European men are somehow related to the Egyptian pharaoh King Tutankhamun. CTV's Marilla Fernandez here with more on this. Marilla, what's up with this?
It's really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
So this is coming out of Switzerland, and the researchers there have found that not only do half of Western European men have this connection, genetic profile connection, but 70% of men in Britain, which is astounding. But they all have the same genetic profile or same ancestry as King Tut from Egypt way back when.
It's hard to believe. I mean, King Tutankhamun, I think, lived probably to be about 14. How did he get around with all that?
Yeah, he didn't get past his teenage years, and he only ruled for 10 years. But I guess it goes back even further than that. And here's what's really shocking about this. Less than 1% of modern-day Egyptians have that same connection. So it kind of makes you wonder, well, if he's Egyptian, but the ancestry isn't Egyptian, how did it evolve? Which way did it move? And it looks like it didn't start in Egypt, but it evolved and went to Egypt and may have started in Europe. And that's why all the Europeans have this. Perhaps